being an entrepreneur sounds cool, but the reality of building a business is very, very difficult. Every level that you hit, there's a lot of things that suck that you just won't want to do. What you're capable of is on the other side. I don't feel like it.
And if you're committed to what it is that you're trying to do, nothing is going to stop you from getting there.
Welcome to another episode of Real Business Owners with myself, Trevor Cowley. Guys, today's a solo episode per usual. If you're ready to level up, go to joinrbo.com. Don't forget to rate and review the show if it's bringing value to your life and your business. Today's episode is regarding just everything that's going on in the world, and the fact that I think that the powers that be, so to speak, are doing an incredible job at lulling people to become complacent, become average, become mediocre. And I wanted this episode to really be about recommitting, re-engaging, and really assessing where you're at right now, where your energy is going, where your focus is going. Are you being enthusiastic about what it is that you're doing, or are you just showing up in a manner in which is basic enough just to maintain what it is that you're currently doing? My fear for everybody is what they're doing is actually working. I believe now is probably the most important time in history to get focused, to get committed, to re-engage with the activities and the things and the habits and the routines that serve you, that help you operate at your peak, that give you mental clarity, that make you feel best in your body and mind, and give you the highest opportunity or highest potential to reach the goals that you've set for yourself. My biggest fear is I feel it too. I feel the distraction, and I feel that, the world is putting people in a situation with these distractions in which lullaby them to the point where they become mediocre and they become average. If it's not the Epstein list, then it's the Charlie Kirk situation or the Israel situation or Ukraine situation or the COVID situation. After this, what's next? There's going to be something else. There's always something else. And the media and the world is pushing and shoving things down your throat. And I'm not saying that some of these things aren't important topics or important things or important people that did important things out in the world. But the question really comes down to this. Does it serve you? Does it help you with your mental clarity? Does it help you with your physical health? Does it help you with your finances? Does it help you with your focus? Does it help you get to your goals? And the answer is very clear. I fear for people living in today's day and age. Right now is the easiest time in the world to get ahead, and it's also the hardest time in the world to get ahead. And let me explain that. The reason why it's the easiest time to get ahead is because everybody else is asleep at the wheel. Everybody else is on autopilot. Everybody else is distracted. So if that's what they're doing, if you can get focused and stop with this surface level commitment, the surface level focus, then you have the ability to set yourself apart. You have the ability to put yourself on a path to a better and brighter future. So I'm asking you right now to audit yourself. I'm asking you to ask yourself where your focus has been, where your energy has been. What level of enthusiasm do you have right now on the actual tasks that will create progress in your life? If you want a result that's greater than the common, then that by default means that you have to be uncommon. That by default means that you have to be strategic. You have to be focused. You have to be committed. You have to learn how to stay positive when everything around you looks like it's falling apart. In every case that I've ever had in business or in life, when it feels like something's falling apart, falling feels like falling regardless. Even if it feels like it's falling apart, maybe it's actually falling together. Maybe these situations that you're surrounded by or the chaos that you're currently experiencing is there to try to wake you up so that you no longer tolerate mediocre or average effort on a day-to-day basis. Allow the pain to transform you. Allow the pain to remind you to get recommitted, to get refocused, and to re-engage with the task at hand. If you want to operate at a level that other people don't operate, these are things that you're going to have to figure out. Everybody else is asleep at the wheel right now. Everybody else is on autopilot. I fear for the world, but that's also why it's the most important time in history to get your shit together, to get your life right, to make sure that you're focused on the right things. Does anything really truly matter outside of your physical health, outside of your finances? And if it really doesn't matter and it's not in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish, I'm asking you right now to remove it from your life. I'm asking you to go to a different level. I'm asking you to recommit and then commit to showing up in a manner that you've never shown up like before. I want to see you guys win. But I see the world that we're in. I know what you're up against. It's like swimming against the current. So what most people do is they get exhausted when they're swimming against the current, and then they give up, and the current takes them back where they started. I see that happen all the time in business, where individuals get motivated and they're committed and they're swimming upstream. They're fighting against the current. And the current is your current situation. You're fighting like hell to change your current situation, but you're relying too much on motivation. You're really not that committed, because when something outside of left field happens, there you are again, being average, being mediocre, being distracted, not focusing on the things that will actually move your life in a direction in which is positive, in which is productive, in which gives you self-worth. There's been a lot going on in the world lately. It's not going to get quieter. It's not going to get calmer. I believe it's only going to get more chaotic. That's why I wanted this episode to be what it's about. How committed are you to the results? Because a commitment to the result means despite. And despite what? Despite adversity. Despite not feeling good. Despite not feeling like it. When things look bleak and things are chaotic, that's a call to arms. Something's telling you that you need to get recommitted and refocused. It's like every single time that we're motivated, we're ready to make progress. We're this time I'm serious. I'm going to do it this time. I'm committed. And then something happens. You wake up sick so that you fall off track. You got to understand commitment and results don't give a shit if you're sick. They don't give a shit if you feel like it. They don't give a shit what it is that you're going through. Results give a shit about the effort that you're putting in on a day-to-day basis. A commitment is a commitment is a commitment. Like you're married to this game. And what do they say when you're married? In sickness and in health. In marriage, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. Sometimes there's communication issues. Sometimes the other party's not showing up how we want them to show up, creating an expectation for them in a manner in which they should show up for you. But the real question is what can you do about that? How can you re-engage their commitment level? What is it that you could do? What is it that you could change so that you could receive change from the other party? And the other party in this situation we're talking about business. We're talking about your health. We're talking about your finances. We're talking about progress here. Progress requires friction. Progress sometimes looks chaotic. Like I said, it looks like things are falling apart when in reality they may just be falling together. Believe that everything's working in your favor as long as you're actually staying committed, staying focused, and being strategic about what it is that you're doing. If you're really committed, you have a strategy to it. My half marathon every day, I have a strategy to it. It's the first thing that I do every single day, and I get it out of the way. That's my strategy. Because so many things are going to happen throughout the day. There's going to be decision fatigue. I'm going to come into the office. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. There's going to be a million different things that are going to pull me in a bunch of different directions, and it's going to take my energy from me. And then at the end of the day, I'm not going to have anything left to give to go out there and try to run for 2 hours. Commitment requires a strategy. If your finances aren't the best right now, what is the strategy that you're going to put in place in order to change that? You should have a strategy in regards to anything that is of importance to you. Anything that matters to you What's your strategy? If you say it's a priority, but you can't tell me what your strategy is to save more money, to get better finances, to get better health, to build a better business, to have better relationships, then that means by default that you're not committed. People just continue to recommit so that they show up in a slightly better manner for a moment in time until adversity knocks on their door. Then they default back. And again, swimming against the current. You have to keep swimming against the current. If you can't swim against the current, pull off to the side and at least hold the line. Don't lose progress. Don't digress in moments that are tough. Every single day, your best is going to look different. In order for your best to get better, that means by default that you have to operate at your best every single day. So you're not going to hit personal records on a day-to-day basis every single day. That's just not going to happen. In some cases, our best is just holding the line. When most people don't do that, this is why they yo-yo. There's a threshold, okay? When we're down below our threshold of what's possible, what our potential is, what we're capable of, and then we recommit, we start moving up and we hit that ceiling. And then the friction starts happening at that point. And if you want to create a new ceiling for yourself, you have to continue to butt up against that ceiling and push it higher, which requires more energy, more effort, more focus, more enthusiasm, so that your ceiling has the ability to continue to go up. In other words, your best starts to become even better. When your best becomes better, even on the bad days when you're holding the line, you're showing up maybe in a manner that used to be your old best, but is now your new worst. But why is self-improvement so important? Because you're the individual. You're the person that's driving the business. You're the person in the driver's seat of your life. You're the person that's in the driver's seat of your health. You're the person that's in the driver's seat of your relationships. And you'll always get what you tolerate. So if you remain the same, you tolerate the same. But when you start leveling up and you improve self, you start tolerating, first off, less bullshit from yourself. And then you start tolerating less bullshit from other people. You start to create guardrails around your life. Man, as I'm leveling up, I really didn't realize that these people in my life were toxic. I need to create some separation. I need to create some distance. I hate the term. You guys have heard, if you listen to the podcast, you've heard this before. I hate the term separation season. I hate it. I love Ed Milet, but he talks about separation season all the time. I don't believe that there's a season to separate. I believe that there's seasons that you could maybe gain more ground than other people, but that's because, their commitment is wavering per holidays, per birthdays, anniversary celebrations. They kind of cool their jets and they take it easy. But yeah, you can gain more ground at that point, but the true separation happens on a day-to-day basis in terms of the strategies that you have. If, for instance, every business, and again, I went over this at RBO Live and with our mastermind, every business should have at least 10% of what they do on an annual basis in terms of their gross revenue. You do $1 million a year, you should have at least $100,000 in your reserve. What's that for? Anything that's catastrophic that can happen, the unforeseen situations. And when that doesn't happen, then it's there and available for opportunities. Money creates opportunity and protects you from catastrophes. Like the average person, I have 6 months in savings. And something happens, the air conditioning goes out. Then all of a sudden, they're now getting very, very uncomfortable. Their savings starts to dwindle. Why get to a point where you have X amount and then get to a level of comfort? If you've got to X amount, having a strategy in place, why don't you continue to honor that strategy and continue to grow your net worth, continue to grow your personal reserves, continue to grow your business reserves? 10% is a good rule of thumb, but if you have the ability to do more, then great. So what's the strategy that you should put in place around, let's say, your finances? If you're a business owner, this is what I see most often with business owners. They don't pay themselves anything. They put some money in the bank, and then when they have a little bit of money in the bank, they pay themselves everything off of the top. You should have a strategy around your finances in terms of what you're paying yourself, what you're keeping in your business, what you're doing in terms of servicing maybe some debt that you have, a good rule of thumb and the strategy that I've always put in place is to create a rule and to understand your numbers on a month-to-month basis. Look at your P&L at the beginning of each month for the previous month. And if it says, hey, we profited 30 grand, it could be the rule of thirds. You could put 10 grand in savings for your bank. You can put 10 grand in savings for your reserve. You could put 10 grand towards servicing debt, and you could pay yourself 10 grand. That's the rule of thirds. That's if you're servicing debt, need to build a reserve, and you need to pay yourself. If your business is only profiting 10 grand a month and you're servicing debt, maybe the best thing is the debt is part of your overhead, and you pay yourself 5 grand a month and you put 5 grand a month into your business. Do a 50-50 split. It doesn't matter how you design it. You could do a 70-30 split. I take 70, the business takes 30. You could do the opposite. The business takes 70 and I take 30. Until you hit a certain threshold, then you can make an adjustment. Maybe it's now that I have 10% in a reserve account for my business, I flip-flop it. Now I take 70 and give my business 30. Or maybe I take 70 and put an extra 30% towards the debt that I have on my business. If you want results, then you have to have a strategy. What's your strategy for your health? What's your strategy for your mental health? What's your strategy for your business health? What's your strategy for your relationship health? For the people that you love and care about? And if you don't have a strategy, my guess is it's probably lacking. And you're honoring the emotions or the feelings that you have more so than the commitment that you said that you had, saying that these things are a priority and that they're meaningful to me, but the emotion comes in. The issue, the catastrophe happens, and then you fall away from your commitments. I think people get committed and they don't realize how fast complacency sets in. They don't realize how fast they start becoming mediocre and average. It's a slow chip. It just chips away. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. You might not notice the first one. You might not notice the second one or the third one. But next thing you know, you're way out in left field and you have to make a massive adjustment in order to get yourself back on path. This is why the guardrails are so important. You need to design a day that helps you feel the best, operate at your best, think more clearly, and put you in a situation where the probability of success just flat out increases. And if you're not doing that, the likelihood that it accidentally just happens where you have good health, you have mental clarity, you've got good reserves, good financial health, and good relationships, that's like just taking a gun and shooting it up in the air and hoping something falls out of the sky. You don't have an aim. You don't have a strategy. There's nothing in place that's going to put you in a situation where you have a high probability of success. So what are you doing right now with your life? What are you doing right now with your finances? How strategic are you being about really growing your business? Or how strategic are you about delegating things or taking things off of your plate so that you can focus on the growth of your business? If you're busy doing, that means you're busy maintaining. There's no growth that will happen doing the busy work. It requires a strategy in which you actually think about what it is that needs to be done, and then you create an action plan in which you're committed to so that you could receive the outcome that you want. Nobody else is doing it. It's not that difficult to do. Cut out the bullshit, cut out the distractions, remove the habits, the routines, or the actions that just don't serve you. It's time to get dialed in. It's the most important time in history right now to get dialed in. You're under attack. There's no other way for me to put it. You are under attack. If they can keep you distracted, they can keep you average. They can keep you mediocre. And if you're asleep at the wheel, you're going to be far easier to control. You can't control somebody that has mental clarity, that's in good physical health, that has great finances, that is committed to what it is that they're trying to do because they remove distractions from their life. How distracted are you right now? How committed are you right now to remove those distractions and start seeing progress? I see people in the gym every fucking day when I'm there for 3 hours, lifting for 45 to 50 minutes and running for a couple hours. And as I'm running on the track and I'm looking at people are there for an hour and a half to get a 20 fucking minute workout in. They're not focused. There's no strategy. They're in the right environment, but they're not actually committed. So just because you're in the environment in which business is done doesn't mean that you're actually making progress. You could just be maintaining what it is that you do. So when chaos ensues and there's a catastrophe or an issue or a problem, we kind of throw our hands up and say, well, this one's getting the best of me, so to speak, and you start pulling back. You feel frazzled. That's what average people feel. That's what mediocre people feel. That's your wake-up call. Where's your energy? Where's your focus? Where's your commitment? Where's your strategy? And if you don't have those things, you will succumb to the distractions. You will fall and become average and become mediocre. Look around. You guys all feel it. Everybody's in a lull. Everybody's distracted. Everybody doesn't feel like that there's something right with the world right now. That's why it's so important for you to be right with yourself, with your finances, with your health, with your business. That's also why it's the easiest time in history in order to make an advancement on your life. There's no better time than now. When there's chaos, there's also opportunity. Let them focus on the chaos. Let them be distracted. You get more focused. You get more committed. You get more strategic. You get healthier. You get better finances. You have the ability to do it by simply making a decision, and in sickness and in health, till death do you part. You're going to live a life that is centered around improving self so that you can get better for those that you love and care about. You can get better for your business. You can get better for yourself. When you actually do these things and you put the guardrails on, guess what? Life becomes easier because you're reducing your options. Decision fatigue goes out the window because you don't have any decisions to make outside of the left-field issues that will happen in business. But that means you're operating at your peak because by default, everything else was already planned out. It was already strategic. You already know how you're going to wake up. You already know how you're going to get your mind right. You already know that you're going to move your body. You already have a plan around your finances. You already have a commitment level that is unlike anybody else. I'm asking you right now to get recommitted, to re-engage, to find the potential that's buried within you. And when something's buried, the only way you can unbury it is by doing the work. I'm asking you right now, are you doing the work? I'm asking you to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself the hard questions. And when you come up with the answers, the truthful answers that just really don't feel good, on the other side of that, I'm asking you to commit. I'm asking you to get focused, not surface level focus, not surface level commitment. That basically means that when something happens, that you're going to default back. That's surface level. I'm asking you to go deeper. I'm asking you to become more. You could receive more because you can become more, but it takes a decision to make a change, to become better, to get more focused, to get more committed. It's very difficult to do. There's an adaptation period that you're going to have to go through that's extremely difficult in order for it to eventually feel like this is just your new normal. So by default, you're creating a friction between the person that you want to become and the person that you are right now. And you're going to go through this state of friction, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable. You're going to go through pain, loneliness, discomfort, doubt, fear, before it starts feeling normal. Those are the hurdles that most people can't overcome. If you can do it, that's how you will separate yourself. The season of separation is every fucking day that you wake up, to honor the commitments that you made, despite how you feel, despite what's going on, despite how uncomfortable it may be, how lonely you may feel. That's what this process is. It's brutal. It's hard. That's why I get frustrated with Guru. Hey, buy my course. I'll teach you how to make X amount in 30. That's not true, guys. They make their money off of selling shit like that. It doesn't work like that. It takes a mass volume of work, a shit ton of reps before you get used to, this is my life, this is how I operate, and then at that point, it becomes easier. But you've got to go through the harder before it becomes normal, and when it becomes normal, It's now easier than what it used to be when you had way too many options, there was decision fatigue, there was no strategy in place, and you operated solely based upon emotion. That's why you are where you are. That's why you're in the pain that you're in. Because if you do that, you will by default feel an extreme amount of discomfort or pain. So will progress. You'll feel those exact same things if you're going to make progress. I'm okay with discomfort. I'm okay being exhausted, emptying the tank every day, as long as it's for the sake of making progress and getting better. Most people don't have anything left in the tank because they're depressed, because they don't have a direction for their life. They don't even know where their focus should be going. So therefore, they default to the average ways, pulling up social media and fucking ranting and raving about the last hot topic that everybody else is talking about. Guess what? There's going to be a next one, and then a next one, and then a next one. There's always going to be things to distract you, to deter you, to take your energy and focus away from you, away from the opportunity that you have to get better, to become greater, to become more. I'm asking you to do that, not because it benefits me, because I've gone through it and I know what it feels like to be on the other side of it. And I want you guys to have that same experience. You guys taking time out of your day listening to this podcast means the world to me. And I want to make sure I'm giving you the energy, the commitment, and the focus that you guys deserve in exchange for the time that you're spending on a weekly basis listening to these podcasts. I'm asking you, leave a review, share it with a friend, spread the information in which is positive that helps other people. We need a world full of people that is committed, that is focused, that has their priorities on the right things. The world's fucked up. A lot of people don't have their priorities straight. I want yours to be right where they need to be so that you can live a life that represents excellence, so that anybody in your proximity has the ability to see what you're doing, the change that you made, and feel the inspiration by default just because they're in your proximity, because of what you're doing. That's a purposeful life. Do these things not solely because you want a greater result. Do it because it's the right thing to do, because you were given potential that you have the ability to tap into. Operating at your best is the best thing for the world. It's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for your family. It's the best thing for your employees. It's the best thing for anybody that's within sight of your proximity on a day-to-day basis. If you haven't ever been anybody, or you faced tough times or made bad decisions, that's okay. So have I. But we have the ability to change. Learn from it, move on. I hope this message found those that needed it. I hope you're ready to get recommitted. I hope you're ready to focus like you never have before. I hope you're ready to exhaust your energy into things that matter. That's what we need right now in this world. That's what your business needs. That's what your family, that's what you need. Please leave a review. Show love back. Let's make this reciprocal, where I pour into you and you guys do a minor task, rating and reviewing the podcast, sharing the podcast. The world needs to hear a message like this more than ever. And I'm asking you to be the light in the world and do that. Much love to you guys. Kick ass. We'll see y'all next week.